When we receive calls from parents, which we so often do, that have just found out that they have their son or their daughter that's struggling in this way, my words of advice would be, again, don't let your chin drop with distraught, with shock. This has taken a great deal of courage, whether it's a young child or an older child that's come to you. They need your love. They need to know that you're a safe person to come to. And you need to become educated about gender identity dysphoria. You need to understand it. And that might mean as well of contacting a ministry like ours or going to a professional that understands these issues. Start some counseling if your child is willing, and start to discover the root issues that lay deep down that have brought this confusion or these feelings, because feelings change. They change.
There are a couple things I've seen parents do that are actually really detrimental, and this is maybe something you want to keep in mind. A lot of times parents will respond to their child that it's a choice, and that can be really damaging for a child, because most that I've encountered would tell you that they didn't choose to have these feelings. I haven't met a single one. I've worked with hundreds, and I haven't seen a single one that would say that they had chosen to have these feelings. They can choose to get help, and that's something that you can talk about. But it would be validating to your child to tell them, I know you didn't choose to have these feelings, but we can choose to get some help, and we can work on it from that perspective. Sometimes parents, you might be running into a situation where your child doesn't want help, and that's very common nowadays too. Again, you're going to want your response to be the same, very loving, non-judgmental. You're going to want to educate yourself on the topic, and also to seek support for yourselves. I think sometimes parents will beat themselves up. You might feel badly, you might feel like it's your fault, and the truth is, parents and a parent's influence is only a portion, it's only a part of what might have contributed to this issue. Those of us who have struggled, there were issues with peers and issues with our gender and our confidence and our self-esteem, and you may or may not have had any influence on some of those things. So you've got to be careful that you're not beating yourself up. Show love, show compassion, get education, and don't use the choice word. Talk about choice as getting help. We can choose to get help, but certainly they didn't choose to struggle with this problem.
To fathers of little boys, anywhere from, 5 to 11, I would always recommend that the father get down on their level, look into their eyes, and a lot of fathers with sons with these issues have never done this, that's why I'm recommending it, and tell them how much they love them. And that's it, for a minute. Just how much they love them. And then maybe after a minute or a few seconds, whatever, entreat them to talk about their feelings. Don't ever shame them out of their feelings or dismiss their feelings. Eye contact, to listen to how their son or their daughter is feeling, is absolutely essential. If you, even unintentionally, if you give off the impression that you're disgusted or if you're ashamed, one day you may lose your child. I've seen it happen over and over again. That's why I'm being so strong about it today. And then the father also needs to get to know his son through his emotions and spending time with him and doing things with him and connecting with him for a long, long time. And I found that these issues and doubts begin to, like the other methods I was saying, begin to fizzle away. His needs begin to be met at the time they need to be met. If we're talking about little children. In other words, these are all corrective actions that are not shaming corrections. They come from love corrections. For mothers of children that, let's say boys that age, they are to allow that to happen and to help fathers and sons facilitate that kind of close-knit relationship. Like someone I know well has said for many years to fathers, if you don't hug your boy, another man will. So mothers also need to help facilitate that close-knit relationship. And mothers need to remain increasingly so as the kid grows up, if they are enmeshed, which happens in a lot of cases. If they're too enmeshed and project their feminine personality too much on their little boy, they need to step back. And the mother's going to have to expect some of her own pain, because to her, it's going to feel like she's losing her little boy. But if she will love him enough to where she will let father and son connect and let the son go, in a sense, and be his own little boy and encourage that and be proud of that, that will go a long way in those young ages to rectify some of these issues. Now, if the child is a teenager, there's going to be a lot of water under that bridge. Most teenagers have a tough time taking anything advice from their parents during the teen years anyway. So, especially about something so personal as sexuality, I'd recommend fathers basically do the same kind of thing. But in my opinion, in my experience, they're going to have to listen a lot more. Because probably your teenage son is going to be shocked when dad is just looking right at him and not saying a lot, at least at first. And just listening to how his son feels, and maybe nodding or something, doing something that he knows that his son is really seeing him take in what he's saying. It's listening skills, honest to goodness listening skills. And most fathers in that situation, again in my experience, have to bite their tongues, because they're usually the kind of fathers, I'm being very generic right now, but a lot of times they're the kind of fathers who will just be chomping at the bit to get out what they believe and to make sure their son does the right thing, and they start panicking. But they don't realize that they just have to let go and be in relationship with that son. And the son will start believing in his father. And if the son gets the fact that dad is really listening to him, the next feeling that usually comes, eventually at least, is love. He feels like his dad really loves him. That may lead to affection. That may lead to more need fulfillment and the end of this dreaded devilish shame I've been talking about. And for mom, it's the same thing in that age, especially in that age. Moms do not need to be enmeshed with their sons who are becoming on the cusp of becoming men. A mom can support her son's manhood. She can still experience affection and affirmation between the son and mom. That's fine. But if it's too enmeshed, she's got to make sure and let that teenage son become his own man and make some of his own decisions. And it needs to be a gradual letting go process. That's what real love is. What I've described in terms of guys with these issues, sons with these issues, what I've described to me is a supreme act of love.